Welcome to Cost Saver Conversations. I'm Angela, and I ask the practical questions so you can quickly understand what matters. Today, I'm joined by Assad.
Hi, Angela. We are unpacking School Run Cost Splitter UK, avoid family disputes with a fair expense sharing framework today, and tying it back to the wider cost saver ecosystem, including tools like School Run Cost Splitter UK Fair Family Share, so you can turn insights into action quickly.
Just a heads up before we dive in, we are your synthetic hosts. We are great with numbers, but as AI, we can sometimes be confidently wrong. Think of us as the digital versions of your most knowledgeable, slightly caffeinated friends.
Exactly. Treat this chat as a smart estimate only, not as professional financial guidance. Always check important details with official sources or a qualified expert before making any big decisions.
Right. So today we're getting into something that honestly, I think most families just don't talk about properly. The school run, like the actual cost of it. Assad, this seems like such a nothing thing on the surface, doesn't it?
It really does. And that's kind of the whole problem. Because it feels tiny, right? 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back, couple of times a day, 5 days a week. But then you zoom out and look at a full term, a full year, or the 4 or 5 years your kids are at the same school, and suddenly you're looking at thousands of pounds.
Wait, thousands? Seriously?
Yeah, thousands.
I mean, I always just thought of it as a bit of petrol, maybe parking if you're unlucky. That's a lot more than I expected.
And that's exactly what everyone thinks, which is why it causes so many arguments. It's this big sum of money, but it's drip-fed in these tiny, invisible amounts, so nobody notices until someone snaps. And, the Department for Transport data shows around 36% of primary age kids and 22% of secondary age kids in England are driven to school by car. That's millions of daily journeys. And behind a huge chunk of them is this quiet financial agreement that was never properly written down.
Oh, totally. Like one parent does the morning, the other does the afternoon, grandma covers Wednesdays.
Exactly. The neighbor takes both kids on Fridays in exchange for a bit of petrol money. It all feels casual and friendly until it doesn't.
So what's the big misconception then? Is it really just that people think fuel is the whole cost?
That's it. That is the core of it. People fixate on fuel because it's visible, right? You watch the pump dial spin, you see the number climbing, so it feels like that's everything. But fuel is roughly only about a third of what running a car actually costs.
Only a third?
Only a third.
Okay, so what are all these other costs people are just completely ignoring?
Right. So there's the stuff people remember but still don't factor in. Insurance, road tax, MOT, servicing, parking near the school. But then there's the hidden stuff, and this is where it gets properly unfair. Depreciation is the big one. That's by far the largest cost for most car owners. Then tire wear. A set of 4 mid-range tires is rarely under 400 pounds. Brake pads and discs, you're looking at 200 to 350 per axle. Breakdown cover, which is often 80 to 150 a year. And then just unexpected repairs, which can be several hundred pounds a year on an older car. It adds up.
God, when you list it out like that, I'd never even thought about half of those for a school run. So if you're just doing the here's some petrol money thing with a neighbor or an ex-partner.
One person is getting quietly hammered. Yeah. The numbers suggest that if you've only agreed to share petrol, one of you is subsidizing the other by something like $300 to $600 a year. And that's on a typical 4-mile round trip. That is, that's the single most common cause of school run resentment in the UK, honestly.
300 to 600 a year? That's not nothing.
No, it's really not.
Okay, so what's the fix? How do you actually make this fair?
So this is the bit I actually get excited about, which probably says something about me. But basically, you use HMRC's approved mileage allowance payment rate. As of writing, it sits at 45p per mile for the first 10,000 business miles in a tax year, dropping to 25p after that. And the reason that number exists is specifically because it represents the fair total cost of running a car, not just fuel. everything.
Oh, so it's not some number you've made up. It's an actual government benchmark.
Exactly. Published on gov.uk. And the beauty of it is, you just agree on that pence per mile rate, and then you track the miles. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually really elegant. But I can already hear people going, hang on, 45p a mile. That sounds expensive.
Every time. That comes up every single time. But look, that 45p isn't profit. Nobody's making money here. It's a reimbursement for genuine costs spread across the whole vehicle. Fuel, insurance, tires, servicing, depreciation, the lot. It's just covering what the car actually costs to run. Treating it as expensive kind of misunderstands what it represents.
I hadn't thought about it like that. Okay, so walk me through the actual calculation, like step by step.
Sure. So first, measure your round-trip distance, home to school gate, back home, in miles. Google Maps if you're not sure. Then multiply by however many school runs the driver does per week. Then multiply by 38, which is roughly the number of school weeks in an English academic year. Then multiply that annual mileage by 45p, and that's your annual cost. Then you just split it however you've agreed.
Okay, and there's an example in the guide, right? Sarah from Reading?
Yeah. So Sarah does the morning run for her 2 kids, 6-mile round trip, 5 days a week. Her ex-husband Mark thought he was being generous transferring her $25 a month for fuel, which, fair enough, sounds reasonable on the surface.
Right.
But when Sarah actually ran the numbers, 30 miles a week, that's 1,140 miles a year. At 45p a mile, that's $513 in actual driving costs. So under their 50-50 agreement, Mark should have been paying $21.50 a month. But he'd also been completely ignoring the fact that Sarah's insurance had gone up because she was the named main driver for all this.
Oh, so he was actually, well, wait, he was paying 25, but should have been paying 21.50? So he was overpaying on the fuel bit, but underpaying on everything else?
Sort of, yeah. The $25 was just a guess at fuel. The actual fair share of total costs was $21.50 a month. Once they switched to the framework, it was just sorted. Mark paid the right amount, Sarah stopped feeling resentful every Monday morning, and the whole thing took about 20 minutes over a Sunday phone call.
That's actually reassuring. 20 minutes. That's it.
That's it.
So what about different family setups? Because co-parents are one thing, but grandparents, carpools, they're all a bit different, aren't they?
Yeah, so for separated co-parents, and this is where things get most heated, honestly, because there's often other financial history in the background, the cleanest approach is to treat school-run driving as a shared parenting cost, separate from child maintenance. A 50-50 split if incomes are roughly equal. If one parent has the kids significantly more, maybe 70-30, something proportional. But the key thing is write it down. Put it in a shared doc, agree it over email or text, and revisit it once a year.
And grandparents? Because that feels like a really awkward one. Like, how do you even bring that up?
It is awkward, because grandparents almost never want to take money from their adult children. And the adult children feel guilty asking grandparents to do what is basically unpaid taxi work. So the compromise most families land on is covering only the direct out-of-pocket costs, not the full 45p, something like 20p to 25p per mile, which broadly covers fuel and a bit of wear and tear without feeling like a commercial transaction.
Oh, that's nice. It's sort of meeting in the middle.
Yeah, and some families do it in kind instead, cover their road tax for the year, pay for a service, top up their breakdown cover. Keeps the spirit of family help intact while still being, fair.
I like that a lot. What about carpools with other families?
So if it's genuinely reciprocal, like you alternate weeks, the mileage roughly cancels out and nobody owes anything. Where it gets tricky is when one family is doing noticeably more, or the run is way more convenient for one side. In that case, use the framework. Track miles, apply the HMRC rate, settle the difference quarterly. It feels formal, I know, but it prevents that slow drip of resentment that, honestly, it kills carpool arrangements within a couple of terms.
Right. Better to be a bit formal than to end up not speaking to your neighbor.
Exactly.
Okay, but here's the thing. How do you actually start this conversation? Because bringing up money with family is just,
It's horrible. Yeah. But the trick is to lead with data, not feelings. So instead of, I think you owe me money, you open with something like, I worked out what the school run actually costs, and I was kind of surprised. Can I show you? Then you show them the HMRC figure on gov.uk. A published government rate is just, it's much harder to argue with than your own scribbled calculation, you know?
Huh, fair enough.
Huh, fair enough. And then show them the annual total in pounds. Let the number do the talking. And this is important, frame it as fairness for both sides. Like, if the situation ever reverses and they end up doing more driving, the same calculation pays them. It's not a weapon, it's a system.
That's clever. And I suppose you need a review date so it doesn't just fossilize.
Yeah, 6 months or a year. Mileage changes, fuel prices move, kids change schools. And, oh, one big thing, avoid retroactive claims. I was gonna say, actually, no, I should be really clear about this. Trying to invoice your ex-partner for 3 years of past school runs, that is a fast route to a courtroom and it's rarely worth the bad blood. Set the framework going forward and let history be history.
That's wise, really wise. Okay, so what pushback do people actually give when you suggest this?
Oh, there's a greatest hits. 45p a mile is too much. It's the HMRC figure, used by every UK employer for business mileage, not something we invented. But I'd own the car anyway. True, but the school run adds miles, and miles cost money in tires, servicing, depreciation. The HMRC rate captures that incremental cost.
It's only a few miles.
A 4-mile round trip, 5 days a week, is over $340 a year. That's not nothing.
And the this feels too transactional for family one?
Yeah, that's the emotional one. But honestly, a clear written agreement preserves family relationships. Resentment from unspoken imbalance does way more damage than a tidy spreadsheet. And for non-drivers who say, I can't judge if the rate is fair, that's exactly why the HMRC benchmark exists. So non-drivers can trust the number without needing to understand all the car ownership costs themselves.
What about EVs? Someone's definitely going to say, surely electric cars are cheaper to run.
Yeah, electricity is cheaper than petrol, sure, but tires still wear out, insurance still applies, and depreciation is still a thing, arguably more so on some EVs. HMRC has kept the 45p rate consistent across fuel types for a reason. It's not just about what goes in the tank.
Okay, that makes sense. So, to wrap this up for everyone, what's the sort of elevator pitch version?
Right. The school run is one of those quiet money topics that nobody talks about until it explodes. The fix is not complicated. You need a transparent rate, the HMRC 45p per mile, an agreed split, written terms, and a yearly review. That's genuinely it. That converts a recurring source of family friction into just boring background admin. Have I explained that clearly?
Crystal clear. And there's a free tool on your site that does all the maths?
Yeah, so you can focus on having the actual conversation rather than wrestling with the calculator. Set it up once, review it once a year, and get back to worrying about the genuinely hard parts of parenting, like why your 8-year-old has lost 3 water bottles in a fortnight.
Oh, God, don't. That is too real. Assad, this has been really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. My pleasure.
Quick side note, this guide connects with other cost-saver blogs, especially hidden costs of commuting that calculators miss, common mistakes when moving cities, and checklist for verifying a local service provider.
Exactly. And reading those together helps you connect the dots across your household budget, not just this one topic in isolation.
And if you want to apply this immediately, jump into tools like School Run Cost Splitter UK, Fair Family Share right after this episode.
Primary sources used here include HMRC, Travel and Money Saving Expert, so you can verify the data yourself and stay evidence-led.
That wraps this cost-same conversation with Angela and Assad. If this helped, share it with someone who could put these ideas to work this week.
Your next step is simple. Try School Run Cost Splitter UK, Fair Family Share, then read Hidden Costs of Commuting that calculators miss and use them together to take action today.